morning, everyone. Chill Girl Chrissy here, Alderman in Ward 6. It's another amazing day in 2025. And we are going to be doing a recap, Desean and I. You've been on my show how many times?
Twice.
Twice. And we're missing Avalon. We hope you feel better, Avalon.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to do a recap of, where we started and where we are today. And looking forward to Inauguration Day and Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day. And honoring freedom and everyone's rights.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just can't wait. I mean, 2024 has been kind of crazy, right? I mean, since 2020 has been crazy. I mean, we'll be here all day talking about 2020 until now.
Yes.
But I mean, I think a lot of people were really ready for, the next January 20th, the next 5 days, especially after the election that Trump won on November 5th or I believe the 5th, and the 7th actually. So ever since he won that election, everyone's been like hoping and rushing, wishing they can, go in time just to January 20th, especially since the recent Biden passed some recent executive orders recently. Things that a lot of people didn't agree with, more student loan forgiveness.
All these insane pardons.
Yeah, ridiculous pardons. He's
George Soros pardon.
Yeah, blocking. What is it? He did more like oil bans somewhere. I don't know the details on that, but it's just like problem after problem. It's like, what are you doing? You have 5 days left. Go back to the beach, But again, 2024 has been crazy. Mm-hmm. Chrissy and I have been working really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working really hard.
What year did we meet?
We met in 20...
Was it 2023 or 2024?
I was going to say 2023. It had to be 2023 because that's when I was going door knocking for Trump last year for getting ready for the primary. Yeah, exactly. So it had to be 2023.
Okay.
And again, I said at the rec center,
Yeah.
Because I was watching all the people that was running for mayor right here in New Hampshire, Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we met.
And it was so great. I got up, people don't know this, but I'm actually really shy. And there's those times when you've got to stand up and speak up.
Yeah.
And I had to ask them a question. And I asked the people that were running for mayor, what would you do if there were mandates, again, mask mandates, vaccine mandates, what would you do as the mayor of Manchester? And it was like silence in the room.
Yeah.
And I felt uncomfortable, but someone has to ask these questions. How are you going to handle things? How are you going to do things better? So that was a huge thing. So afterwards, Desean came up to me and said, "Great question." And I'm like, "Thanks," because that was like nerve-wracking to stand up and speak up and ask a question. And we were in the beautiful Rex Theater that I love so much. Mm-hmm. And it was great. And I felt like it was answered, in my opinion, correctly.
Yeah.
That we shouldn't be mandated to do anything.
It's funny because a lot of people say 2020 is hindsight. So when you ask that question, I feel like all four of those candidates, I believe it was 4 candidates at the time, they all should have said the exact same thing. They all should have just said the exact same thing. We had plenty of time to realize that the vaccine mandates, the whole lockdowns, I think the question was the lockdown question. Would you lock down again?
Yes, that was it. Thank you.
Yeah, the lockdown. Would you lock down again? The answer should have been flat out no.
Hell no.
Yeah, exactly. You never should have locked down in the first place. But that wasn't everyone's answer. I believe you asked that more than once, too. Like I said, it was 4 candidates, so he's asking multiple people just to see what they're going to say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I not think of that prior? I was thinking for like days, like, what questions should I ask these people when I go? Like the mayor candidates. And I never thought of that, and that was just a great question. So,
Thank you.
I mean, even this, the lockdowns in 2020, ridiculous. The whole vaccine mandates, that people still have a problem with. Is actually still a problem, by the way.
Yeah, there is a problem. I'm glad that the Speaker of the House has reached out to Dartmouth because there is someone that's trying to get an organ transplant.
Yep.
And
I think I heard about this.
Yeah, and because they didn't have the COVID-19 vaccine, they are not a candidate. So I'm just really grateful for Sherman Packard, our Speaker of our House, for standing up and speaking out.
Yeah, it's nice too when you actually look up. Like ever since 2020, I'm like, what is going on? in this country. And when you start looking up what's going on with Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all that, it kind of leads you to other places.
Yeah.
And eventually I got led to the whole like vaccines, and I feel some type of way about vaccines. I'm not sure about how everyone feels about that, but when you start hearing about problems with vaccines and there's all these problems and it constantly gets covered up, and you hear different stories, maybe less than a year ago, it was a girl. She was she tried to get some sort of health care for another problem, but since she wasn't vaccinated, they gave her all these other vaccines, not just the COVID-19 vaccine, but all these other vaccines at the same time. And then she's like completely disfigured. She looks like, it's like, how is she still alive? And she looks so bad. And it's like, I understand. If you were never vaccinated as a kid, a lot of people know you shouldn't get vaccinated now because your body is not used to it or something like that. But the fact that the doctors required her to get all these vaccines, and that's just one case that we know about. So,
and all the things that are covered up and not revealed, you know, that's why I'm so grateful for RFK.
Yeah,
you know, Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of
partnering with President Trump.
He has what is it, Maha? He has a lot of work to do because, I mean, Big Pharma does not like that. I mean, they make so much money from these vaccines. They're trying to come up with another vaccines, or like the whole bird flu thing that's going on right now, and killing off all the chickens. It's just ridiculous.
Crazy, ridiculous.
I mean, if we're not careful,
yeah,
exactly. If we go down this rabbit hole, I mean, if we go down this issue again and they try to do another vaccine mandate and people give into it, I mean, what's next? The alien vaccine?
Yeah,
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like people got to realize.
Yeah.
Just ignore what they tell you. If we had just ignored them as a people, and back in 2020, I don't think we would even be here, honestly. So
if we did a little more critical thinking, but it's the mass media, it's the fear mongering, it's the all that. It really cripples us, you know, and you hear it over and over and over again. So you could be a total critical thinker, but when you hear it over and over and over, all of a sudden we're being programmed, and we've got to just unplug and just connect. And that's why I started this show, Chill and Heal, because it's about connecting and talking and being real and sharing our experiences. And, you know, for me, I will never, ever, ever mask again. I will never take another vaccine. I didn't take it, and I lost family. I lost family that is heartbreaking. And I know I'm not the only person. Like, other people were treated really bad because they chose not to take the vaccine. It's just so sad. It's like freedom of choice. My body, my choice, my body. What is my body, my choice?
Yeah.
You know?
Apparently that's only like one-sided, apparently. When it comes to the vaccines, that doesn't apply, but when it comes to getting abortion, it applies. It makes no sense. It's very hypocritical.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Which goes back to like, people don't really think for themselves. They just take their talking points from the media. Because again, like you just said, you're just being regurgitated. You're just regurgitating the same talking points the media just feeds you.
Yeah.
And like the media, it's just ridiculous too. And I have a lot of family members that have been vaccine injured. I remember my uncle, I met him, not met him, he came down for Thanksgiving. I remember asking him, I'm like, what's wrong with your face? He was like, oh, you know, I have I forget what it's called, is Bell palsy.
So there's a whole list of all the side effects.
It is Bell palsy.
And some people haven't been affected, and some people have. And then some people have, and they aren't sharing.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And a lot of our information is still being suppressed.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, I have loved ones that have been vaccinated, and they were vaccine injured. Was it awful? No, but still, to get sick.
And then they suppress it. That's the issue.
Yes, to get sick, period, is just not okay.
Yeah.
You know, when COVID, you know, if ivermectin works, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, all these things, frontline work, frontline doctors, Simone Gold, who's a lawyer, a doctor, on the front line since the beginning, Pierre Corey, and there's Paul Merrick, who actually he's a doctor, a pulmonologist that came up to New Hampshire and spoke and testified on that we should be able to take ivermectin. And I hope to meet him one day. Paul Merrick, it's critical care doctors, and him and Pierre Corey, he spoke for the Senate. No one wanted to hear them. back then, because they were being so suppressed.
Was this back in 2020 or 21?
This was back in 2021.
Okay.
Probably, back in 2021.
It was still like,
yeah.
The censorship was pretty high back then still.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, it's just, vaccines are really a really big problem too. And it's just.
Nothing should be pushed on us, period.
Yeah, exactly.
Freedom of choice.
I mean, that's just set a red flag off for everybody. The fact that they're pushing it so hard.
And they're basically paying, hey, we'll give you some.
They paying all these celebrities and paying just.
Oh my gosh.
It was just strange.
And the celebrities really go home, make some money some different ways, like ridiculous.
Like, how much money do you need?
Yeah.
It's like,
right.
And ever since.
Greed.
It's always been one problem. It's always been, in my opinion, psyop after psyop after psyop, ever since 2020. And I mean, I know we can say this is like 2024 recap, but right now it's pretty much 2020 into now. That's what it feels like.
It really is.
Because it's like, we can talk about, everyone forgot about East Palestine, Ohio, the vaccines mandates, BLM and Antifa in 2020. That was pretty much a color revolution, and people just gloss over it. We're going to talk about North Carolina, what happened over there, FEMA not having enough money for East Palestine, Ohio. They didn't give them any money. They just did. At first, they didn't even show up, and then when Trump showed up, they just showed up.
Yeah.
So it's like they had to. Trump showed up and forced them to show up because it would look bad. And now FEMA only wanted to give the people of North Carolina, $700 and something bucks. And then Maui, same thing. Now LA. It's like, and now apparently FEMA doesn't have any money because, they've been giving it to all the illegals.
To Ukraine?
Yeah.
And our open borders.
Yeah, just sending all our money away.
Yeah.
The open borders. I mean, everyone forgot about the Baltimore Bridge that just collapsed after a ship hit it.
I did forget about that.
It's just because it's always been problem after problem after problem after problem.
Yeah.
And it's just nonstop. And it's like
total distraction, chaos in all of our lives.
And it's so crazy because, and that's only naming a few problems. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting like 20 other events that happened, major events that actually happened. And
the pullout of Afghanistan.
Yeah, the Afghanistan debacle. That's ridiculous.
Yes. And the amazing Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Shelling. Oh my gosh. Stuart Shelling. No, he's the lieutenant colonel that called out Biden and everyone.
Okay, yep.
And he wrote this Crisis in Command, this book. You have to see it. He's the real deal. He's a really good guy. He's standing up for everyone's freedom. And he did what was right. He called out his bosses. And sometimes bosses need to be called out.
Yeah.
It's like, this is out of control.
Yeah.
If you are, what can you say? I mean, people need to be held accountable, period.
Yeah, they do. And
Fauci needs to be held accountable.
And nothing's happening.
Nothing's happened. You know what, I have to bring this up is Julia Roberts, when we talk about celebrities and so forth. I mean, who didn't love Julia Roberts? I mean, Pretty in Pink. No, not Pretty in Pink. Oh my gosh.
I know you're talking about the actor, Julia.
Yes, Julia Roberts. Who doesn't love her?
Yeah.
Well, when she gave her interview of Fauci, I was like, what is going on? I'm like, she was like, oh my God, you're so wonderful and you're so cute. And all these like foo-foo questions. I don't know if it was 2021 or 2022. I'll have to look it up. But it was the most bogus interview I've ever seen. I was like, this guy
feels fake.
It was totally fake.
Yeah.
She's like making him out to be like the greatest. Oh my gosh, you're the greatest ever. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
After everything he did, he's like, how?
Everything he's done, and with AIDS as well.
I was going to bring that up. He was in charge of that. I found that out, in 2021? I'm like, wait a second. Why is he still in any sort of position of power to even, or influence to do any of this if he was in charge of the AIDS problem, the whole AIDS epidemic? And then now he's in charge of the pandemic. I guess you move up.
You mean the plandemic?
Yeah, exactly, the plandemic. I misspoke. Sorry, plandemic, scandemic.
I do correct a lot of people. But plandemic.
Because it felt like it was all planned. And then you hear about all these instances where they actually had a trial run back in 2019 when the whole pandemic was going to happen. It was planned out. And like I said, I didn't name a lot of events. I mean, the whole assassination attempt. I'm talking about the first one, not the other, 2 or 3, 5, whatever. It's just problem after problem, and it feels like everything is like falling apart now that we don't have an actual leader in office. And the whole Russian Ukraine debacle, and was it Israel and Palestine? First of all, we shouldn't be doing anything overseas, but all our money is going overseas, so we're forced to pay attention to it. All our tax dollars, and people always
And
say
people
stuff
have
like
a hard time paying for things.
yeah, we have a hard time paying for groceries,
Yeah.
hard time paying for housing. Look at the cost of houses.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
it's $500,000
And
for
we're
a
really
shack.
going to be taxed out of our homes if we don't stop the insanity.
Yeah, I mean, property
know?
taxes are going to like skyrocket.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, well, we should help so and so. It's like, what do you mean we should help so and so? How about you help yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, when the attention
Yeah. We
is
need to help us.
Yeah.
America first.
Like, I don't know why. Like, we just keep giving all our money away. It's
Mm-hmm.
just ridiculous. I don't understand it. But back to all the problems that's been happening since 2020. Like
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's just the problems I named off the top of my head. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's like
Yeah.
plenty of other problems I didn't name, like 20 other events.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we have someone with, I don't know, at least 2 brain cells in office, we should, I feel like we should still be vigilant. We should be able to still, you know, form communities, like-minded communities where we focus on like, okay, this is what the federal government is doing. If we don't agree with it, we need to say something.
We need to say something. We need to speak up. Go to our alderman meetings.
Yeah.
Go to our city meeting. Well, like town
Town hall meetings.
Town hall meetings.
And just don't like take a step back and relax and just not do anything at all.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, here in the United States, the president doesn't have full control, full power over everything. They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden got stopped on so many different issues. So he tried to pass different executive orders, laws, and it just didn't work. And that's when, you know, the party was calling out the Supreme Court and they're trying to get, you know, term limits for the Supreme Court because, well, they're not allowed to do a lot of the stuff they want to do because the Supreme Court
Yeah.
keeps blocking them. So they have to go around and do a lot of shenanigans that they shouldn't be doing in the first place. But
So you know what? I think for me, I'm like it's been a wild ride.
yeah, it has
Wild
been.
ride. But there's hope. Why? Because people stood up.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want to go back to Julia Roberts for a moment because Erin Brockovich. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
She was a strong woman that she saw something wrong within the system, and she fought for all these people, and she worked for an attorney, so Julia Roberts is the woman that played Erin Brockovich.
Okay.
And so when when Julia was interviewing Fauci, I'm like, where's Erin? Come on, Julia. Like, where is your inner Erin? Like, we need to get up, stand up, speak up for those that can't speak up for themselves as well. But we can't be silent.
No.
You know? And I think about, you know, some of the quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is, you know, I'm like looking at some of these, I was going over them last night, and there is something about the silence, like our silence. Like, first of all, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. And truth cannot be suppressed. It will always rise to reveal its power. And every single quote I was reading last night, I was just like, he was like all-time greatest. Like, I just think so highly of him and Martin Luther King Jr. and his, you know, I think about my friend Clarence Washington, who wrote this book, Hijacked, and how Dr. Martin Luther King's dream has been hijacked.
I think it's cool you actually know one person.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's a pastor. He lives out in New Mexico. Him and his wife are just unbelievable. And they wrote a 5-book series on Hijacked, how people have taken advantage of Martin Luther King's dream.
Yeah.
And we need to take it back, nonviolent, and, you know, not judge each other by the color of our skin, but our character. And, you know, my birthday is tomorrow, and it's always around, you know, Dr. King's birthday. So to me, I'm like, I've always been one to fight for people's rights and, you know, stand up for the underdog. And I don't know, I think it's like it's an amazing day to celebrate Dr. King and our new president coming in.
Yeah, President Donald Trump, yeah.
Yeah, because he is for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
And God-driven.
Yes, he is. Thankfully, he is, unlike the previous president. But it's just the quote, the truth cannot be suppressed. I like that. It will always reveal its power. The thing is that you just go back to censorship, too. In order to, like, for the government to enact all these crazy regulations and mandates and laws, they have to have a lot of censorship. But I mean, eventually the truth is going to come to the surface. But you just need to suppress it for now. Then when it comes out later, it's going to already be too late. You know, it's kind of like the whole vaccine. It's like people already took the vaccine.
Yeah.
So whether you know the truth now or not, it's like, okay, well, it matters, but they need to suppress it for now to do what they want. When I say they, I mean the government. So I think that's a good quote. But we definitely need to keep talking and stuff like that. And,
Yes.
And it's just, you know, maybe I'm just a bit, you know, I don't want to say. I'm gonna say a bit discouraged. Still, I'm not entirely hopeful, because I will say I do think the whole Democrats and Republicans. I mean, I don't want to feel like I'm on the Jones plantation. You know, I don't know if you know that or not.
I don't know that.
But it's like, it's kind of like, I'm not trying to like black pill, but it's like pretty much you vote for this party or you vote for that party. It really doesn't matter. You still end up at the same place.
Yeah, that is a problem. That's why they want to divide us and conquer us.
And because I feel like a lot of the Democrats and Republicans, I mean, they all take money from big tech, big pharma, you know, BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. And it's always weird when people say, "Oh, this person is a Republican. Why would he or she vote yes for this bill?" That's weird. But it's like they're taking money from these big corporations and institutions. So it's like I said, I feel like a lot of times, exactly, like is that who is bought and paid for? I feel like a lot of them are, because, like I said, if you can vote for a Democrat or Republican, you don't look at the D or the R before their name, because a lot of times, a lot of these people, especially now in America, I feel like it's getting worse and worse. You want to just end up at the same goal, the same result, pretty much. So I feel like there's an illusion of choice, almost. Like I'm going to go back to quoting the guy at the World Economic Forum, Harari. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he was talking about.
Awful.
He was I don't know. He was talking about the illusion of choice. And it's weird because he was mentioning
illusion of choice.
He was talking when it comes to elections and stuff like that, and he was just throwing it out there that he also mentioned when you go to the grocery store, you're going to have that as well, which really made me think, like, what does he mean by that? Then you realize a lot of the food, when you go to the grocery store, a lot of these, you know, a lot of the food or whatever you buy may be by different companies, but all those companies are pretty much owned by one organization. And it's just like I said, it's an illusion of choice. And I feel like there's a war on like raw milk and farmers. That goes back, to the war on like raw milk, farmers, and they want to get rid of all that. They want to control so much of everything. So. And then you get into like our government is giving money to the World Economic Forum. It's like, why? How?
Yeah.
So it's like they're giving money to this group. It's like, where did this even come from? Like, what group? Where did they spawn from?
Globalism. It's a uniparty.
Yeah.
You know.
Give money to the World Economic Forum, United Nations, IMF. It's like it doesn't really make any sense. And then
no, it doesn't.
It just feels so conspiratorial. I don't know. And ridiculous, quite honestly.
It is ridiculous. So I think that we need to find the light and shine a bright light on the darkness. And some of the things that, first of all, connecting with you. I mean, how old are you?
31.
31, you know, so wise. Originally from New York?
Ohio, actually.
Ohio.
Yeah, I moved around quite a bit. Ohio to New York to Mass, now New Hampshire.
Yeah. And for you to share so much of your life, you know, with what you saw in New York and everything, and how you're here now, and MAGA Black.
Yep.
MAGA Black. Pastor Leon Benjamin. You can find him on X. We love him. MAGA Black all the way. Trying to think. What are some of the other things that I wanted to touch base on today? There's like so much. I know we only have a few more minutes, 4 minutes left.
Yeah. Like, I mean, as of recently, I guess, I mean, I
want to leave the show with some hope, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some guidance. And what did you do? You were what, 29, 28 when you were, you know, outdoor knocking, you know, trying to find your way in the political world? Find out what's going on, like, hey, this isn't right, so you got activated.
Yeah.
So I think there's so many different things to get activated. I am part of, are you part of the Manchester Republican group?
I went there a few times, but I wouldn't say I'm a part of it.
Okay, all right. Well, Ken Tassi, a good friend of mine, I call him Ken-tastic. He is the chair, and we're showing up at the alderman and meetings and the school board meetings, and it's so important to knowledge up. And Victoria Sullivan became senator, and it's about getting active to seeing what's actually going on and how are we voting.
Yeah.
Like, how is your alderman voting? And are they going to be voting on this Beach Street project, which is taking away a park from the inner city and crushing a building that's less than 50 years old? You know what I mean? And when we can, I mean, to me, it's just insanity we need to be working on what's going on in the classrooms.
Yeah.
And supporting the teachers and supporting the children and making sure that they're getting their IEPs. And you know what? There's so much more than a shiny new building and spending millions and millions of dollars. So I highly suggest reaching out to your aldermen, seeing how they're voting, and how's that going to affect our taxes?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And how are we really spending our money? Are we really helping to educate our children?
Yeah.
You know?
And also just to piggyback off of that too,
Yeah.
that's very important. But I mean, let's just leave on a high note, like you
Yeah.
said. I just want to say, make sure you just don't become so reliant. I mean, 2020 should have showed you this. Don't become so reliant on the government, right?
Yes.
Make sure you can actually, I'm not talking about some sort of apocalypse, but don't rely on the government all the time. I mean, know your farmer, right? Know who your farmers are. Know where you can get local grass-finished beef. Learn how to, I don't know, where we can get stack up on bottled water or something. Just don't be so reliant on the government is what I'm trying to say, local or federal. So
get active, make America healthy again. Let's
get
rid of the processed foods.
Talk to your community,
talk to your
people.
community, connect,
Yeah.
meet people, bring some joy, but speaking up. We can't be silent anymore.
No. Yeah.
We can't be silent anymore. And you know what? Let's see. Another high note.
Another high note. I guess it's not really a high note, but just neutral. Just make sure you don't
Try not to offend any people. Yeah.
Try not to get complacent now that Trump is getting in office. Make sure you watch closely of what the administration is doing.
Yes.
That's what I think.
That's
what I'm gonna do.
Me too. All right. God bless everyone. God bless Manchester. Get active, and let's bring a lot of joy to Manchester. Thank you, Desean, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.